What's good, everyone? We're back to the program, and we are going to look at a few things today. Let's just check out what kind of agenda we got. It says first thing we're going to do is give a gift, and that is actually a gift to you. It's this. That was a very beautiful rendition, in my opinion, of the traditional iPhone ring. So if you want to switch it up and go with the more piano version, then I will leave a link to the direct download in the description. Just thought I would share that. And speaking of sharing, let's go on to the next category here, which is going to be... It says gamete theory, but it should be game theory, aka one of the most important videos I think that I've ever seen. So I guess we're just going to watch this video now.
This is a video about the most famous problem in game theory. Problems of this sort pop up everywhere, from nations locked in conflict to roommates doing the dishes. Even game shows have been based around this concept. Figuring out the best strategy can mean the difference between life and death, war and peace, flourishing and the destruction of the planet.
Okay, so the whole video is actually about 25 minutes long, but I just cut it down to kind of go over it with you.
A banker with a chest full of gold coins invites you and another player to play against each other. You each get two choices. You can cooperate or you can defect. If you both cooperate, you each get 3 coins. If one of you cooperates but the other defects, then the one who defected gets 5 coins and the other gets nothing. And if you both defect, then you each get a coin. Robert Axelrod, a political scientist, he decided to hold a...
So that is describing the traditional prisoner's dilemma. Yeah, so now he's going to explain how Robert Axelrod had a tournament on the computer to see, you'll see.
Computer tournament.
He invited some of the world's leading game theorists from many different subjects to submit computer programs that would play each other.
Axelrod called these programs strategies. The goal of the tournament was to win as many points as possible.
So they made all these computer strategies and submitted them, and they're going to run it through the prisoner's dilemma over and over and over again.
All strategies were loaded onto a single computer where they faced off against each other.
So they all did prisoner's dilemma matches against each other. And it was based on the thing where if both people agree, they both get 3 points. And if you cooperate and the other person does not cooperate, then you get 5 and they get 3. So there's a whole bunch of different variations on that. And they put the scientists together, or whoever made the programs, the strategies, and they tested them to see which one would accumulate the most points in this game.
All strategies were loaded onto a single computer where they faced off against each other.
The crazy thing was that the simplest program ended up winning, a program that came to be called tit for tat.
Tit for tat starts by cooperating, and then it copies exactly what its opponent did in the last move. So it would follow cooperation with cooperation and defection with defection. But only once. If its opponent goes back to cooperating, so does tit for tat.
Axelrod found that all the best performing strategies, including tit for tat, shared 4 qualities.
First, they were all nice, which just means they are not the first to defect. So tit for tat is a nice strategy. It can defect, but only in retaliation. The opposite of nice is nasty. That's a strategy that defects first. Out of the 15 strategies in the tournament, 8 were nice and 7 nasty. The top 8 strategies were all nice.
Come on, look at that. The top 8, it's a clear line. All the nice ones are at the top and all the mean ones are at the bottom. And nice, I don't know who chose the word, but what it really means is all of these people would continue cooperating until the other person stopped. That's important. I mean, it's a clean sweep. If you always cooperate until the other person stops, you're gonna win.
Even the worst performing nice strategy still far outscored the best performing nasty one. The second important quality was being forgiving. A forgiving strategy is one that can retaliate, but it doesn't hold a grudge. So tit for tat is a forgiving strategy. It retaliates when its opponent defects, but it doesn't let defections from before the last round influence its current decisions. Friedman, on the other hand, is maximally unforgiving.
After the first defection, just from the opponent would defect for the rest of the game. Okay, that's it. No mercy. And that might feel good to do, but it doesn't end up working out well in the long run.
This conclusion, that it pays to be nice and forgiving, came as a shock to the experts. Many had tried to be tricky and create subtle, nasty strategies to beat their opponent and eke out an advantage. But they all failed. Instead, in this tournament, nice guys finished first.
After Axelrod published his analysis of what happened, or circulated it among these game theorists, he said, now that we all know what worked well, let's try again.
So he announced a second tournament where everything would be the same except for one change, the number of rounds per game.
See, in the first tournament, each game lasted precisely 200 rounds. And that is important, because if you know when the last round is, then there's no reason to cooperate in that round, so you're better off defecting. Of course, your opponent should reason the same, and so they should also defect in the last round. But if you both anticipate defection in the last round, then there's no reason for you to cooperate in the second to last round, or the round before that, and so on all the way to the very first round.
And so in Axelrod's tournament, it was a very important thing that the players didn't know exactly how long they were going to be playing.
That's important. They did not know exactly how long that they were going to be playing. And they show how in nature, like there's a brief part about the impalas who groom each other. The point of that segment is to say that in nature, when this cooperate or don't cooperate thing pops up again and again and again, it is basically for the entire lifetime of these animals, because they're constantly living in this paradigm.
On average, it would be 200 rounds, but there was a random number generator that prevented them from knowing with certainty.
After 1,000 generations, the proportions are mostly stable.
So they played it, and they played it, and they played it a whole bunch, and this is the results they came up with.
Only nice strategies survive. Again, tit for tat comes out on top.
There it is. Tit for tat won basically over 1,000 iterations. Now, this is the most important part of the video, and by far, every person on Earth should watch this, in my opinion.
Imagine a world that is a really nasty place to live, more or less populated with players that always defect. Except there's a little cluster of tit-for-tat players that live in some kind of nucleus. They will start building up a lot of points, and also, because that translates into offspring, they'll start to take over the population. So, in fact, Axelrod showed that a little island of cooperation can emerge and spread.
Did you hear that? That is the most important thing I ever heard in my whole life.
That a little island of cooperation can emerge and spread.
A little island of cooperation can emerge and spread.
And we're like, we want to be spread, remember? And we were like, and we couldn't be spread.
You got to get spread. Let's just watch this last part again.
They will start building up a lot of points, and also they'll start to take over the population. So, in fact, Axelrod showed that a little island of cooperation can emerge and spread, and eventually will take over the world, which is fantastic.
Okay, The last part there was pretty subjective. Who knows if that's fantastic, but I agree with him.
Okay, so we're done with the gamete theory. Oh, no. We're not done with gamete theory because it's a two-parter. It's got a secret part. So the first part was about the game theory video, which I hope that everyone goes to the channel and watches it. I will put the link in the description. And the reason this segment is called gamete theory is because I have a theory. Cannot prove it. However, every experience that a guy has, ladies, I'm sorry, you're out of this one because all of your gametes are finished at birth. So it's nothing personal, but it's just that guys' gametes get made every single day. And so what if all of the experiences that we have are actually getting coded into our DNA to the very smallest degree that we really can't even read it, hiding in all that junk DNA? And so if you have an experience in your 20s, then the gametes that are made after that actually have some kind of learning from that experience. So the older a man is when he has a baby, the more of his life experience is actually transferred into that baby through his gamete. If you had a kid when you were 20, you'd be passing on everything you learned from 0 to 20 that was coded into your DNA. But if you had a kid when you were 40, then an extra 20 years of experience is coming through that gamete. It's just a theory, a gamete theory. I have no evidence for it. I'm just saying, wouldn't it be wild if? What if? That's the end of gamete theory. Now we have to do a retraction. Previously, during Cake News, we aired a segment about Mount Everest, and we would like to show that one now.
Edmund Hillary and Tibetan mountaineer Tenzing Norgay were the first people to reach the summit of Mount Everest, the highest mountain in the world. 1953. After spending 15 minutes, just 15 minutes, on the peak, they began their descent. I would like a footnote on this in Google, please, because it doesn't seem likely that we have the correct information here. This is totally cake news. Specifically, this, by the 1400s, the Khumbu Sherpa people had attained autonomy within the newly formed Nepali state. So you have a whole bunch of Sherpas living in the region by the 1400s. We'll say 1500 AD at the latest. And if Edmund Hillary and Norgay climbed in 1953, then you have approximately 4.5 centuries where you're telling me not a single Sherpa climbed to the top of Mount Everest? 450 years living next to a mountain, and you're not going to climb up that thing? Sir Edmund Hillary was a great mountaineer, and he rightfully deserves his spot on the New Zealand $5 bill. However, let's be real, folks. He was not the first man to summit Mount Everest. It was some Sherpa way, way, way before that. Can we please report Sir Edmund Hillary and Norgay as the first documented climbers of Mount Everest? Okay, so my whole point there was about the fact that the Sherpas were in the region very, very long before they climbed Mount Everest. So once again, I have no evidence. It's just a theory that probably someone would have climbed it. However, after I got all worked up about that because of my English lesson that I taught, I continued reading in the book and I found this. And so I would like to offer a retraction because Cake News let you down this time. I came to the explanation that they gave, and it says, the people who originally settled in the Himalayas believed that the gods lived in the peaks. As a result, no one tried to climb Mount Everest. Then, in the early 1900s, explorers arrived, and despite all the obstacles, mountaineers dreamed about climbing Mount Everest. So basically, they said, we don't care if your gods live up there, we're climbing that thing. Either this book is wrong, and I was originally right, someone did climb it before them, or this book is correct, and no one ever tried to do it out of respect. But then Sir Edmund Hillary showed up and decided with Norgay that the gods did not live up there, and even if they did, they were still going to climb it. But it's interesting. It's interesting to think about. We'll return our attention once again to our urgent important matrix, which if you would like to make one for your own tasks, you need only a piece of paper and 4 simple phrases. You need your urgent areas, your not urgent areas, your important areas, your unimportant things, and you need to find out where all of them converge. So here's the one that we made in the last episode, and I've did some thinking and I found out these ones. Of course, the urgent and unimportant was donate clothes and eat ice cream, which I have done. Unimportant and not urgent, which is getting more urgent. The thing is, as time goes on, the not urgent box moves to the urgent, but it's getting more urgent as time passes. But I need to get some footage for next month. Our big spooky Halloween time spectacular. October is one of my favorite months because of Halloween, and we are going to have a great month next month. So then we have our important ones, which is all the MEIBANFA Chronicles episodes.
Welcome to MEIBANFA Chronicles.
And then we're going to have to ID all of the tasks that we have. I feel like that should, if you're going to do an urgent important matrix, then you need to definitely know all the tasks that you have. So that's just inherently going to be like number 1 or 2, as it is here on the important and urgent. Then we have to do the Bobo Faces app. Aloy! Shimmer, dongshi. Hey! Okay, so that is pretty much done. We're just waiting to get, you need a one-time registration fee to put apps on Google Play. So we're just waiting for the $25 to do that. And then Joe Mama's site is finished. That's for Joe Mama's window.
Step 1. Choose 6 adjectives from Joe Mama's list which best describe yourself. Step 2. Challenge 3 to 5 of your loved ones to pick the 6 adjectives which they think you are. Step 3. Compare the results. Do the lists present a shared view of reality? By affirming your failings and perhaps finding new ones, you revitalize your quest to overcome them. Do you have the courage to look through Joe Mama's window?
We're pretty much done with that for now, for the Bobo Faces. We have to wait on it, so we're pretty much done with that. We have ID'd all of the tasks. In fact, a little sneak preview of next month. Here is what our urgent important matrix looks like for next month. It has an Oakwood theme, as you can see. And then over here, La Cebola de Bobo, basically Bobo Faces app part 2, which will be more practical and focused on the language learning. We're going to do Return of the Rings. After all this time, we're finally getting new fights going regularly on oakwoodcomics.com. And then I'm not going to go through all the tasks, but you can see that, to my surprise, I found that there were actually unimportant tasks that I had to do. So before, I was all perplexed about, why would you ever have unimportant tasks? The truth is that if you actually write down all of your tasks and then look at them, some unimportant ones may pop out. That was an interesting insight that I got by actually doing the activity, which I recommend if you have trouble, planning your day and stuff. Look into the Eisenhower matrix, also known as the urgent importance matrix. Okay, it just says Oakwood warm-up, which means that, guess what? All of these items can be crossed off the list up here because guess what? This was the last episode of MEIBANFA Chronicles for this cycle. So we are addressing the mission here at MEIBANFA Chronicles, which is that we always assemble to speak about potential solutions to unsolvable problems. And until our first mission is completed, we are looking at I am always broke. So which ways have we addressed so far to remedy this problem? One potential solution is that I have a book that I wrote So maybe that could be a source of sales. Or you could go to Bobo Faces.
Hi. Hi. Ooh. Ooh. Hi. Hi. Hi.
You can always, always, always find yourself a super hot thread over at the Cake Mob. Stop. Those are some of our shirts. Don't prisoner anymore. Do you could find clothes. It is the real of self-expression. Dookie Boys, always $12, totally verified.
Just a quick announcement, everyone. In October, we are moving down to the free model on our t-shirt sales website. So we have to eliminate all but 10 designs. And after looking through them, I realized what our real style is. And so these are the designs that will only be available for a little while longer until they are axed in the great culling of Cake Mob t-shirts. So if you like any of these designs, you've got about probably 2 weeks left.
We also have a Patreon. Yeah, we have all kinds of crazy gifts and stuff that we're going to send out. Okay, so you can find the link to the Patreon, to Bobo Faces Learn Chinese, to Joe Mama's Window. This is a diagnostic tool you can use, get together with your friends, and have a little honest chat about what are your faults, what can you improve. So you can head over to cakemob.xyz/Joe Mama's Window and download the activity for you and your friends to get to know yourselves better. And by yourselves, I don't mean your friends. I mean your actual selves. Psych, you do also get to know your friends better.
We have an update. The video that Sound Fiction asked us to record some voice work for has been published. It is now available on Sound Fiction's YouTube channel. And I hope that you will go there and subscribe to get a lot of good stories. He's done over 50 episodes so far, and it's quite impressive, actually. He's writing everything and then recording everything and adding all the music, and he still has quite a steady pace despite being in school for all that. So maybe head over to Sound Fiction and check out, see if you like what you see there, what you hear there. He also does all the artwork.